when it comes to the ability to welcome people back onto outdoor patios, for example, and then, dare I say it, even some indoor dining. June the 14th seems to be the date in the ether right now, so about 3 weeks away still for those restaurants that want to welcome diners back onto patios outdoors at the very least. But is there another segment of our economy that we're overlooking, at least in the early stages of economic reopening here in Ontario? Lance Nielsen is the co-owner of Element Hair, located here on the boardwalk, and joins us for a conversation. Lance, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for making the time. We certainly appreciate that. And I mean, maybe time is something you have more of right now, but you would rather not, because your business and other personal care services are still in a state of pretty serious restrictions, if not outright lockdown. You've been at this for decades, Lance, this industry. Has there ever been anything like this that's been so impactful over your 35 years in the industry?
Never. I've never seen anything like it, and I never would have expected it either. We've been shut down for the better part of 7 months, and our colleagues in Toronto, they haven't done any business at all in 2021. So it's had a very major impact on this industry as a whole.
How have you been able to keep the lights on, keep the rent being paid, despite being shut down for these 7 months?
Well, we obviously kept some money aside to make sure that we could do that, and there has been support programs that we have participated in, and that has been helpful, and we're grateful for that. However, it's not really enough to make up for the lost revenue that we have. We'll be out hundreds of thousands of dollars by the end of this, and you'll never recapture it, because if somebody were to come in for 5 haircuts during this time, they're not going to come in when we reopen and get 5 haircuts. They're only going to get 1. So that revenue's gone for good.
I understand that you have made a pivot to some virtual services. How does that work for somebody in your line of work?
We have offered color kits for people, so custom color kits to our clients that they take home and do themselves. My wife, Kim, has put together a training video that's sent to them privately, and they can get the instructions on how to do it, and then they go ahead. Everybody's been quite appreciative of that. It comes back to mental health. I've had them say to me that it really helped my mental health because they felt better. So I think it was important to do that.
Do you believe, Lance, that we are in a place or at a place in this pandemic where hair care services and other personal services could reopen safely?
I don't think they should have been shut down at all. I think the first wave, yes, because nobody really knew what was going on. But during that time, ourselves here, and I know other salon owners, worked hard to prepare to reopen, to make sure that we had the equipment that we needed to do it properly, which we did. And we operated for 6 months. We opened June 12th last year and then closed again in December. During that period, we put through 6,000 services, and there were no issues. So during the second lockdown and this one here, I think this industry should be open. I think it should be considered a profession, such as a dentist. You can go to the dentist, and there's no issues there. They've put the measures in place, as we have, and I think this industry should be open.
Can you take us through what it would have looked like, Lance, coming into Element Hair between June and December of last year with the precautions in place? What was the experience like?
Well, the feedback I got from clients was they felt very safe. We have, the floor markings. We've got barriers in place. There's total separation between people. There really are no issues at all. And I would add that, if you look at a big box, for an example, and I'm thinking of a particular one, they're square footage is about average 139,000 square feet. So now, with the reduced capacity there, they're operating with about 69,000 square feet. So their capacity is 400 people, but those 400 people are milling about, and the capacity allows for 172 square feet per guest. However, they're milling about and they're moving about, and as you know, you're not always apart. Certainly not 172 square feet. In a salon environment, the person is seated. They're stationary. They're not moving around, and they stay in that spot until the service is done. So it's a much, much safer environment than many of the retail ones I've been in. And again, I think it deserves to be open.
Did you, during that 6-month window from June to December of last year, Lance, cut down on the number of people who could be inside your salon at any given time to allow for the distancing that was required? Yes, we did. We actually took out some chairs and where we couldn't socially distance, where there were barriers in place. Based on that square footage thing I just told you about, we would be allowed 7 people, right? And that's basically how we work. So we split our staff into 2 shifts, and we did limit the number of people that were in at any given time to about 7 people. Is there any, and forgive me for my ignorance on this point, but a personal services industry association that's been advocating on your behalf, or is it up to the individual owner like you joining a show like this, or maybe writing a letter or making a phone call to an MPP? Well, I think it's both, personally. I've certainly been in contact with my MPP quite a bit. There are associations that are working to get us back on track. I think they're not quite as powerful as, say, the Dental Association. I don't think they're as well financed, and they don't have a legal team that can, lobby on our behalf. So it's there, but it needs to be better. What would you like to see, Lance? I mean, should at this point salons and other personal care services, massages, etc., be reopened just with capacity limits? Yes, massage, by the way, is open. Registered massage therapists. That's right, because yeah. So that's another one, and it's the way that operates and the way a dentist operates is very similar to how we would operate. I think we really do need to be open. I think we can do it, and we are a professional business, as are our colleagues. We know how to. We're also licensed. We know how to sanitize. We're trained in that from the very beginning. We've always maintained that. And there's no reason for us to be closed. What is the current landscape look like for businesses such as yours? I mentioned June 14th. I know that restaurants are anxiously awaiting that day, for example, but do you have any indication as to the when for a salon like yours to reopen? Well, yeah, so that goes through the reopening plan, which I really don't think there is much of one, to be honest. It's all based on the numbers. So my estimate is going to be late July, based on what they've been saying at the earliest. And it's all tied to the numbers. Like the vaccinations, you need 70% with one shot, 20% with double shots. I got my first shot. My second one's not scheduled till September, so it's after that date. So it could potentially go longer than what I think is going to be, mid-July. Based on your experience reopening last year in June, was there an immediate response of chairs being filled with people anxious to be back in the salon? Yeah, I had to hire 4 receptionists just to deal with all of the phone calls and the emails that were coming in. It was pretty crazy at the beginning. And again, though, we did have to limit it, so that created quite a backlog of people waiting. And that happens a second time, and it's going to happen again. And strictly on the business side, Lance, you mentioned the hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been lost through all of this. So what does that What does that tell you about the future for, not just Element Hair, but others in the personal services sector? Does it change plans for, moving on to retirement, moving on? What does that make it look like from a business perspective?
Yeah, that has happened, actually. There's it's estimated that about 20% of salons in Ontario have closed permanently. Some people have retired. One problem that never comes up is it has created a huge underground economy with hairstyling. So people are getting cut in their basement or at their homes. And that, I think, is going to continue after we reopen. And in fact, I've talked to colleagues, and that is actually the case, that these stylists that are now working underground, they're not going to come back. They're going to just continue working underground. And the problem with that is it's not regulated. Okay, you can't inspect it, you can't regulate it, and it's, they're obviously not paying taxes either, because I would be sure most of it is cash. So you're going to see a huge shift in this industry. It's definitely going to have a big impact on how it moves forward. So
what you're suggesting with that example is that this has in some ways fueled a black market of sorts.
It's definitely fueled a black market.
Lance, I hope for the best for all of our small businesses, that's for sure. And I appreciate you shining a light on this one today. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for giving us a voice, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Stay well. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Lance Nielsen is the co-owner, along with his wife, Kim, of Element Hair here on the Boardwalk.